The best cruises we have ever taken have been back-to-back. But there is some vital information we wish we would have known before we ever went on one. Hey everyone, what's up? My name is Jordan.
And I'm Jared.
And this is
JJ Cruise.
Today we are telling you some very important information that we have learned across our 5 back-to-back cruises. As a matter of fact, we're on a back-to-back right now.
Yeah, that's right. We're taking our 5th back-to-back cruise right now, but we've taken it all over. We've taken it in the Caribbean, we've taken it in Iceland, we've taken it in Sydney, Australia. And let me tell you, everywhere around the world, there are things that we wish we would have known before we ever got to that back-to-back day.
So today we're sharing with you the key things that you must know about back-to-back cruises and some pretty harsh lessons that we learned along with a couple of funny stories, but you're going to want to stick till the end because there's one important key here that you have to abide by. Otherwise, you're going to have a terrible back-to-back cruise.
But before we get into the things you have to know before taking your first back-to-back cruise, please, we invite you, subscribe to the channel. It's free to you, means the world to us, and all we do is cruise. What's there not to love?
The first time we ever took a back-to-back cruise was aboard Royal Caribbean's Freedom of the Seas in the Caribbean. We had 2 small cruises, a 3-night and a 4-night, and decided to extend it into one awesome week. But we had a lot of vital cruise questions, like what happens to your luggage, what happens on turnaround days, how do the cruise lines handle cruisers coming off and getting on the ship all in one day. And so we're going to try and answer all of those very important cruise questions with cruise tips for you and your back-to-back cruise in the future.
The first thing you might have as a question for a back-to-back is, what do I do with my luggage? Obviously, if you're staying in the same stateroom, it won't be a problem. But if you're moving staterooms, am I gonna have to repack all of my clothes and things back into my suitcases?
The answer is, well, for the most part, yes. Things like drawers, things in your safe, around your room do need to go into a piece of luggage. But the good news is for most cruise lines, anything that you have hanging in your closet typically can stay on hangers and the stateroom attendant will move your bags and then move all of your hanging clothes. So it does make packing and unpacking for the second leg of your cruise a little easier.
We even know someone who hung up one piece of underwear just to see if they'd move it, and they moved it just the same as all the rest of their clothes.
The second thing that I think a lot of people don't know, and we didn't know this either, regardless of changing rooms or staying in the same room, you will have to vacate your stateroom. There is a specific time that you must be out of your stateroom, and if you're not going offshore, a meeting point on the ship. So if you do think that you're just going to be able to sleep in and take a really long, nice morning in bed, unfortunately you cannot, and leaving your stateroom is an absolute must and non-negotiable with the cruise line.
This goes into the next thing that we wanted to know about. What do I need for my back-to-back day? What do I have to carry out of my room when I have to vacate my stateroom? And to be honest with you, this can change based on what cruise you're taking. But the main thing is you really need to be prepared for the worst case scenario. Meaning you need to be dressed as if you're gonna be out on a day excursion. Even if you don't have a day excursion planned, you need to have your medication with you, your passport, your SeaPass card, and your transit pass, which we'll talk about a little later.
We say this because you need to expect the unexpected when you walk through that door and out into the hallway. We've encountered a number of different types of turnaround days in different countries, and you just don't ever know exactly what to expect, so be prepared to be out of the room for a while.
Oh, and the weather. Make sure you check the weather that day, because in the odd chance that you have to get off the ship, you want to be well prepared. So where do you go when you vacate your stateroom? You have to vacate your stateroom. You have your documentation with you. Where are you even going? Well, there is a meeting place for all consecutive cruisers. Yes, that's another word for back-to-back cruisers. And when you go to meet in this secret place, you will wait with every other consecutive cruiser before all is cleared on the ship. Now, you do have a choice to get off usually before then. If you want to go and explore and have a great day at that port, you can do it by getting off the same time as most other cruisers. Those that are leaving for good, you can just kind of go with the rest of them. Make sure you have your transit pass and documentation for the day, but you can leave and not have to be in that consecutive cruiser waiting area.
Now, if you do choose to go to the consecutive cruisers meetup and stay on the ship, you need to be prepared to be there for a while. Typically, Port Authority will come on the ship for clearance, and they will hold everyone in a holding space until the ship has been cleared for new passengers to start to get on. This typically only takes about an hour, but we have been held for up to 3 hours before. So we do recommend when going to this holding space, you bring something like a book, maybe your phone and some headphones to listen to some music to help pass the time.
This is also where a key question comes into play. What about Wi-Fi and other things that I had from my past cruise? Sometimes those Wi-Fis disconnect at this time. That's kind of their transition period. So make sure you're well prepared with downloaded music, downloaded TV shows, or anything that you might want while waiting in this area. They do usually put some coffee and other kind of amenities in there, so you are refreshed, but it is a place that you will have to wait.
After that consecutive cruise or waiting time or holding time, that would be your second option to go ashore and leave the ship. You just have to know this could be 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. before you're getting off of the ship. So if you are wanting to get off early and go explore, we highly recommend exiting the ship with all of the other guests that are leaving the ship that day.
We had the question, do we even have to get off the ship? If it's a port that we go all the time, for example, in the Caribbean, we're already in Fort Lauderdale all the time. Do we have to get off here? The answer is, it depends. Sometimes we've stayed on the ship and gone through customs, which you do have to go through. And other times we left the ship just to walk through customs, come back. And then other times we have walked off the ship and could not come back for hours. We'll talk about that a little bit later.
We've talked about the transit pass a couple of times, and this is very important for getting back on board if you do choose to go ashore on your back-to-back day. There's a small little paper that will be put in your stateroom that you will take off of the ship with you. Now, when you get back on board, you should be able to show that paper to the port workers, and they should be able to expedite you to the front of the line for getting back on the ship. That means skipping ahead all of the other people that are embarking for their embarkation day. Unfortunately, we have met a few port workers that have no idea what a transit pass is, so you just need to be patient and understand that if you choose to go ashore on your back-to-back day, it might take you a little bit of time to get back on the ship.
Of course, there will be an all aboard time, so make sure you read the letter that will come in your stateroom the day or day before your de-embarkation day or back-to-back turnaround day. You want to be best prepared with everything you need to know, so always read that letter, and that will tell you the times for everything, as well as usually in the consecutive cruisers meeting.
As long as everything goes very smoothly with the port clearance, everything should be back to normal by 11 a.m. This means that your lunch options for lunch will typically be open, like the buffet. You can start using your new drink package if you have a drink package for the second leg of your trip, and you should be able to go back to your regularly scheduled programming for your second part of the cruise.
With everything we've said today, there is one thing that really encompasses your entire back-to-back process and what we wish we knew going on board our first back-to-back cruise, and that is you have to be flexible and be prepared for anything to happen.
To give you just a little bit of insight here as to why we think this is so important, when we were in Sydney, we were told we could wake up, go to the holding place, wait a little bit, and go back to our room. Well, overnight things changed, and when we got up in our pajamas and went to the consecutive cruisers holding space, we were then told we had to exit the ship for 3 hours, and we could not go back and get anything out of our room.
This, of course, made it a very awkward day in Sydney where we are in our pajamas going out in public to the local coffee shop to get some Wi-Fi and a cup of joe. This is in contrast to what happened to us in Reykjavik, Iceland, where we thought we were going to go out and explore Reykjavik, our first ever time there. And unfortunately, there was too much congestion in that port terminal that day to where we were not allowed to get off the ship. The key point here is you really need to be prepared for anything to happen and be okay with it.
At the end of the day, back-to-back cruises is a great way to cruise. If you're interested in taking a back-to-back cruise, please reach out to us at jjcruise.com. Of course, we are both travel agents, so we book a lot of our clients on back-to-back cruises. But thank you so much for watching this video. Let us know in the comments below. Have you ever had a strange or interesting back-to-back cruise experience? Let us know about your experience in the comments, and let's get a healthy conversation going down there. Well, that was it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, see ya!